You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
And we're all working together to really get this thing to the next level.
Not everybody will sit there and blow up a motorcycle just to see what it'll do.
And this is the same material that is in almost every single top field dragster.
We don't put our name on the back of a motorcycle and don't make it right.
That's right.
And that's the bottom line.
Same. So we built a motorcycle for Bert's Barracuda, and we named it the M8 Abrams. This bike was a charity build, so that means that it's going to be raffled off, and the proceeds are going to go to Bert's charity, which is called Bert's Salute to America. If you guys don't know who Bert King is, he owns a couple dealerships here in Florida: Bert's Barracuda, Bert's Black Widow, and Bert's Black Pearl. So about a year ago, we attended the Orange County Choppers Invitational, brought a couple motorcycles, entered them into the show. While we were over there, Bert and I got to talking. He had this idea for a build that he wanted to do for the charity. He wanted us to just go crazy, no holds barred kind of thing, and build him a ridiculously sick motorcycle.
We're gonna give Blockhead a 135 Harley crate built motor. I'm gonna let him blow it up, and then we're gonna give it away, and we're gonna raffle it off, and we're gonna raise a bunch of money for charity. We're gonna save somebody's life. That's what we're gonna do. And I'm gonna let Blockhead just go as deep as he wants to go.
He didn't give us any design direction. It was literally up to whatever we wanted. I figured since it was for a, Salute to America charity, that we would keep it military themed. We've actually done quite a few of those builds here, like Pickle, the Captain, and then also the M8 Abrams. The thing that was special about the M8 Abrams is that it was Harley-Davidson's brand new 135 cubic inch crate engine. Biggest displacement engine that Harley-Davidson makes. But that wasn't enough for Bert. He wanted to supercharge it. So that's exactly what we did. Now, with a mild tune, our thought process was, we're giving this motorcycle away. We have no idea who's gonna win it. We don't want them to hurt themselves. So with that mild tune, it was making about 180 horsepower and torque. Just insanely fast motorcycle.
Oh my God, dude, the rear wheel's breaking free.
So it took us a while to build. We documented the whole thing. We let Bert know that it was ready to pick up. We put a couple 100 miles on that motorcycle, and it ran great. For those of you that do know, dyno miles are incredibly tough on a motorcycle. And we put that thing through its paces on the dyno. We also held on to it a little bit longer so that we could test it in the real world, to and from home and back kind of stuff, really shake it down, because we don't want to build something like that and put it out there, especially if it's being given away and for something to happen to it. So we wanted to make sure that this thing was absolutely solid. So while it was here with us, it was great. Performed on the dyno really well, performed on the road incredibly well. Just an absolute monster of a bike. So we told Bert that it was ready to come pick up, so they came over and they picked it up.
It's a personal touch, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And I really do. You did well. Real well.
After they took it back to Tampa, they started riding it, and it was all good. Until they gave it to Shade Tree Surgeon.
What's up, Rito? Shade Tree Surgeon here.
For those of you that don't know Shade Tree Surgeon, he's a fellow YouTuber, awesome channel, great content, would highly recommend going to check him out. The dude's an absolute riot. Despite him saying, bad people doing good things and stuff, the guy has an absolute heart of gold. Seriously, I consider him one of my close friends. Really great guy. Shade Tree Surgeon gets it. Lo and behold, he has a problem with it. The bike blows up. We obviously heard from Shade Tree, Josh, Bert, and the team over there at Bert's Barracuda. Their service department started taking apart the engine, and we talked immediately about, okay, let's figure this out. What happened? I'm gonna share with you guys exactly what happened here in just a second. While all of this was happening, they ended up having a bike night. They were having an event, which they often do up at Bert's Barracuda. Somebody ended up going into their back service area. They literally just walked back there, which that's not usually allowed at dealerships. Not really sure what their rules are there, but he walked back there knowing that there was an issue with the M8 Abrams, and he took footage of it and he posted it online. Now, this was without knowledge or consent. Bert owns the dealership. He didn't know it was coming out. he didn't know that it had been filmed. For the future, for any of you guys carrying around cameras, it's like one of those, maybe like a professional courtesy that you should ask the management or owner of an establishment if stuff like that's okay. After that video got posted, we got absolutely lit up on all of our social media. So across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, people were posting asking what had happened to the motorcycle, asking if we had known that it had blown up. Yes, we knew that it blew up. We just hadn't gotten around to making a video yet because, you know, these things take time. Our schedule is crazy. So we started digging, going back and forth, getting all the data together to get to the bottom of what happened. And before I tell you guys what happened, I want to go talk to Josh, Shade Tree Surgeon, who was the one riding it whenever this happened. So let's head over to Tampa, see what the hell went wrong. You guys have seen this guy in some videos that are talking about this blown up bike that's gonna break the internet?
Yes.
So he's being super vague.
Drag bike racers are used to this kind of thing. This is what a weekend sometimes looks like. Another YouTuber got back in the service department, and nobody here at the dealership, including the owner, knows how he got back there and broke the news.
It's in shambles, y'all. Sorry, Blockhead. Hopefully she gets up and running again.
I said this in my video, I'll say it again. It's a high performance one-off build. Things happen.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that it's your fault. We got as a variable, and here's the best news. Shade Tree wasn't hurt, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's put himself in some pretty sketch situations.
Yes.
But we're gonna give you guys more of the details here. I do want to talk to Shade Tree.
It is all his fault. Maybe we're being too nice on Shade Tree. Maybe he took it to the red line and
no, he
just
took it
held
to the and he put this is the guy right here.
the guy.
Let's go blow something up, goddamn. Come on. I got a stick of dynamite.
It's funny you say that. Let me show you something real quick.
Blockhead, my 135 Harley crate built motor. I'm gonna let him blow it up.
I love it. Why would you say that?
Because that's what we're doing.
You said you're gonna let me blow it up. You didn't say y'all were gonna blow it up.
Well, what's the difference? We're all in this together. It ended up being the truth, though. That's the bottom line. It's great, man.
Yeah. What's funny, that was whenever we first were talking about it, before the bike existed, before the engine was here, before any of it started. The OCC bike show.
Yeah,
right?
last year.
Yeah, last year. And you were like, we're gonna blow it up, and I was like, no, we're not. Like, don't say that. Don't put that juju out there, bro. And here we are. The internet's been absolutely knocking down our door, wanting to know what has happened to this bike. Before you tell them, I want to get Shade Tree, who's almost here, his whole recollection of the events. Jack was talking about the haters and all that stuff, so we're seeing a lot of that.
I was just having a conversation with Uncle Daddy about the haters. I'm so immune to the haters, and I look at it as flattery. If people care about you enough to leave that type of comment, that's just the nature of where we're at. You have haters, that means you're doing it right. Critics, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a man back here by the name of Paul Sr. who's doing it better than anybody.
That's true.
And I will post him up, and we'll get haters, and Bert can attest to this. He'll go out the door to Bike Fest, and sir, can I have a picture? Sir, can I have an autograph? It's because he's popular. He's popular, and you attract a certain amount of haters. Just like when you go to a baseball game or a football game, there might be 60,000 in the seats, there might be 1,000 hecklers.
Oh, there's a few
happen.
baseball players I don't like.
There
I'll
you
just
go.
say they're really good, too. It's only because they're good.
That's right. It means people are paying attention. So
Right.
I appreciate any comment, whether it be positive or negative.
Yep.
Absolutely. This is not the first bike I ever blew up.
No. And you see it all the time,
and I'll
too.
do it again.
There's no bad blood here, guys. We are literally doing this for a great cause, and we're all working together to really get this thing to the next level. I'm gonna fill you all in on all the details on what exactly happened with this thing after we get Josh here.
You solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth? So help you God?
I've literally never told a lie in my life.
All right, well then now tell us how you blew that bike up.
You see, there I was.
Before you do that, I showed Bert this earlier.
I'm gonna let him blow it up, and then we're gonna give it away. We'll raise a bunch of money.
That was before the building even started.
Here's how we do it, man. There it was, minding my own business. There was 4, maybe 5, just bad dudes on the highway. They were chasing after me. These guys were, I think, from China, possibly Russia, bad actors, after me on the bike, infiltrating America. It was all I could do to get away with the motorcycle because I know it's going to do amazing things. It's going to sell raffle tickets. It's going to help our veterans in need. And boy, I tell you what, I'm glad it blew up when it did because it put an oil slick across the highway. It caused them all to crash. I think they're going to give me a medal for it, honestly.
I think I got that medal in there on my bar stool.
So patriotic, you're doing God's work,
Listen
brother.
up, baby. I'll take a brown heart if you got one handy.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either, dude.
So you have footage.
The guys that were after me, they had some sort of radar jammer. I don't know. I had consort with those of the robot race. I don't know exactly what they had going on.
Oh, they were cyborgs now. Chinese, Russian cyborgs.
Chinese cyborgs, drones. You've read
It
the
was
news?
something out of Terminator 2.
Copy. They were liquid metal.
It was all I could do to get away with my life and the bike intact. And I did it, not for you, I did it for Bert, and our veterans.
That's right.
Hey, at the end result, you know, most people would be really upset. I'm not. I've never been upset. Not once.
Which I love, because the internet, they're coming after me thinking that we took your money and ran.
No.
They're saying like, oh, typical YouTubers.
No, it's the exact opposite.
Listen, part of Bert's test and tune process, which something I like about him, is how can you know how far it'll go until you cross the line?
That's right.
Now we've set a baseline.
That's right. We got to start. Yeah. We got to start.
Do it big or go home, and that's what I love about here, because they do it big and they don't go home. Not everybody will sit there and blow up a motorcycle just to see what it'll do, unless they're running from Red Threat. I mean, it was not on purpose at all.
We're going to make it bigger and better. That's the ultimate deal. That's what it's all about. That's where
The
we're
American way.
at. Yes.
Bigger and better, baby. Hit the ground, blew up, doesn't matter, because it's going to come back twice as strong. What is dead may never die. It only comes back stronger.
We did go back and forth pretty extensively with Pro Charger. Essentially, what we discovered combined with
Rebuild it bigger, better, badder, stronger. And let me tell you what, there ain't a commie that's been born that's going to take down the bike that's been built next.
It's still going to be a bad machine.
You guys can see we're all in good spirits here. We'd be standing in front of the bike, but they literally picked it up like an hour ago, shipped it up to Tennessee. We're going to continue in Tennessee and collaborating with Moonshine Harley-Davidson, with Jamie up there. It's all growth here, guys.
If I was any better, I'd be Bert, baby. Life ain't bad.
I'd be Santa Claus.
That's high praise, Bert.
That's exactly right, man.
Oh, dude, I just want to be Bert when I grow up. The man knows how to party, dude. He'll blow up a bike on Monday. By Friday, it's rebuilt. Over the weekend, he goes fishing, and my man knows how to have a good
It's
time.
a good lifestyle. What did you think of the bike whenever you were riding it? You had it for a day or so?
It was terrifying. Terrifying in the best way possible. Listen up, I like lots of things with red flags, like my woman with red flags, like my bike with red flags. It does not mean stop. Oh, that's the only red I like, all right, is a red flag. And that bike's full of them. It's dangerous, it's fast as hell. I did like that you could still ride it like a normal motorcycle, though.
Right.
Who would ever do that, though?
Yeah. You rode two up on it.
Yeah, we rode two up on it. The girl had no idea what she was in for at all. Her innocence was torn away on that day, let me tell you.
No.
50% throttle in your wheeling, so I couldn't imagine a person on the back of that thing.
I couldn't either, but we did it. Why you ride a motorcycle unless to get the attention of a beautiful woman?
End of the day, Blockhead, we don't put our name on the back of a motorcycle and don't make it right.
That's right.
And that's the bottom line.
Same.
It's just that simple.
See you guys in Tennessee. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the collaboration you've all been requesting for years and years, talking about this company, Moonshine, Moonshine, Moonshine.
Moonshine Harley-Davidson, Moonshine Horsepower. And today we're going to spotlight what we do with our cylinders, what makes our 135 different from maybe some other manufacturers and Harley-Davidsons.
Why 135? What are you talking about?
And we're going to do our 135. So we don't like extra stroke. And the reason we don't like extra stroke is, I'll show you right here. These are the same cylinders in a 135 Harley-Davidson setup. These guys are really thin. And what we want to do is we want to make these thicker, which requires a case bore, which will make it stronger. And then we don't want to do the extra stroke because we're pulling the piston out the bottom of the skirt that's thin already, and we want a stronger setup. So if we can leave the piston higher up in this skirt, it's stronger up here than it is down here. So we have a little different bore.
So you guys do 135s, 143s. Well, you were going over a couple different bores there.
131, 135, we do a 137, a 139, 143, 145, and now we're getting up to the 154 cubic inch setups. Race only, not for the street, you'll burn it up.
And a request has been put in for a 151 because you know, it sets close to my heart. A little bit of backstory here. I'm sure you guys can tell by title and thumbnail. Leading up to this whole point, with the M8 Abrams that we built, we have brought it to Moonshine Harley-Davidson for the Moonshine horsepower treatment. Why have we brought it here? They are one of the only manufacturers that creates anything for 135. But these guys are super meticulous. One of the reasons you guys have, you know, requested for us to collaborate with them so much is because these guys are on the leading edge of what they're doing, and you can see straight into it, the dude is super focused. So big props to Jamie.
We do bore in-house, we hone in-house, and we surface them in-house. We got surfacer right behind this machine that makes the top of them look pretty. You guys are blowing head gaskets. If this surface isn't really smooth, you'll blow head gaskets.
How long have you been doing this?
2017 when that M8 came out. Before that, I was a car guy. Focused on cars and everything else, and I didn't know what a Harley was until '09.
Fun fact also, you used to live in Orlando or Florida, right?
Orlando, East Orlando, town called Oviedo.
You ever see the Oviedo chickens?
Yeah, I remember them when I was 5.
Nice, damn. So like born and raised Florida.
I'm making sure that it's in center of both holes. Because when I hit a button, it'll move from one to the next, and we want to make sure it does that without hitting anything. So I would just double check the program.
That's cool.
So you just hit buttons, you know?
I mean, I think there's a little bit more work that goes into it. You make it look easy, but that's badass. I can't say that I've ever been to a Harley dealership that I've ever seen anything of this level. Usually there's a separation between like machine shop and dealership, but
yeah, we're an oddity. It's cool to have both in one. We got unfair advantage. We can do all the cool horsepower stuff that a manufacturer can do or a machine shop can do inside a Harley-Davidson dealership. So customers can buy their brand new bike, pick out their build, and then we finish everything, they pick it up. So we're a one-stop shop.
So you guys have seen this case before. It is the case out of the M8 Abrams, but not quite the same. Lots of upgrades.
I'm gonna break down the difference between the 135 that was originally in the bike and the pieces that it had and the makeup of it and the specs, and then I'm gonna go over what we're doing now and why it's different. This is a cylinder out of a Harley 131 or a 135. It is a really, really nice cylinder. The finish on the fins look amazing from Harley. No one has a better looking cylinder than Harley. They have a tool steel inner sleeve in them. And they have to go to a harder metal because the sleeve here is thinner. So Harley has one of the strongest sleeves for a 131 setup. That's why we use them in our 131s. We bore them about 3,000 to 5,000 over from the Harley setup just so we can do our finish bore from where Harley was, but a really, really good cylinder for a 131. The guy that protrudes out of the aluminum housing is called the spigot, and Harleys are different. Harleys are one of the only motors that have that, besides maybe an aircraft. But that right there is 47 thousandths thickness. The sleeve we are using inside of ours is not tool steel. It is a ductile iron from a company called Dart and Sleeve, and this is the same material that is in almost every single top field dragster on the NHRA circuit. The difference in the cylinder we're gonna be running now is this guy is 116 thou. It is more than double the thickness of the other sleeve. It's almost 3 times as thick. You don't see that on Harley's setup is because this will not fit in the factory hole. So to get this to fit in the factory case, we have to take the hole and make it bigger. That is known as a case bore. So we predominantly use Dark Horse Crankworks for our case bores. They set up this flywheel. They did the case bore for us. They know all of our setups. We've worked with them for years. Something else this motor did is there was some debris that went through the motor. Whatever happened to it happened. So Dark Horse bored out the stock lifter bores, and they have Amco 45 sleeves in there. The Amco 45 has some lubrication values to the metal that allow it to be a little bit nicer. Stock ones are great, but if you do have a failure in an engine, this is a way to save your case where you don't have to replace your case. Something else you're gonna notice on this, now we have steel case inserts. These are where your studs are going, but because they're steel, it's gonna have more strength holding into the case because the outside of these steel inserts are bigger, so there's more threads biting into the aluminum, so it's a stronger clamping force, and we're not gonna have to worry about the pressure. This thing is gonna be supercharged. We wanna hold everything together as much as we can. We don't want the cylinder to lift here, we don't want the head to lift here. The third thing that's different is this had a stroker flywheel in it before. It had a 4.625 stroke in it. We went back to the 4.500 stroke. So our 135 is a 4.500 flywheel, which comes standard in every 114 engine out there. We get the extra cubic inch by going bigger in the bore. So the Harley setup is a 4.310 bore. We are now a 4.375 bore. So we are making up the extra cubic inch in bore instead of stroke. And the reason we want to do that is we want the piston higher up in the spigot and not come out as much. So when you get these guys, that's for our turbo setup. When you get these guys the bottom dead center, the piston is actually coming out the bottom of the cylinder a little bit. So on a stroker motor, it comes out the bottom of the cylinder even more. So I'm gonna say that's probably about a 4.5 inch stroke where you're seeing the piston come out the bottom. In the stroker motor, you're probably seeing about that much come out the bottom. So we want to keep the piston higher up in that spigot, less movement, less wear, less flex. It's gonna be better over time. But that is the main differences you're gonna see and the reasons why we went to the setup.
So we're not using these pistons because these are the turbo you were saying?
Well, we thought this was originally a turbo build, so we had the pistons in stock, and then we find out it's a supercharger, so we wanted a little different compression ratio. So it'll be a similar piston, we just won't have as much dish in it.
That's one of those things that I was talking to you guys about. Like, there's not hardly any manufacturers that I know of that do this. We called around, and Moonshine is one of the only. So super cool that, one, y'all have been requesting a collaboration for so long, and literally here we are. Big things to come. I'm gonna be coming back here to Tennessee in about a month or so.
That's the goal right now, but if everything doesn't show up in time, we'll push it a little longer.
I'm gonna fly back up from Orlando, and we're gonna document the whole thing for you guys to see. They're gonna put their Moonshine magic on it, so we'll be back. Back here in Blockhead Garage. So there you guys have it. There's a lot of the kind of backstory. Built the bike, handed it over. Unfortunately, something happened to it. Went, talked to Josh, talked to Bert, talked to Gunner, talked to Jack from Cycle Drag, Moonshine Harley-Davidson. And there's the reasoning behind why we went to Moonshine Harley. They're the only ones making a 135. So from Harley-Davidson, their 135 kit comes within these certain, specifications, parameters, but we need to change that. Some people did recommend to Bert a lower displacement engine. So if we were to have done this with a 131 or a 128 or a 117, we probably wouldn't be in this situation. However, Bert being Bert and wanting to stay true to that 135, like I was on the phone with a number of manufacturers for pistons, cams, for rods and all that stuff. On the manufacturing side of things, in order to create a custom piston, you have what they call minimum order quantities. So if you have something manufactured, you can't just order one of them, right? Even though with a piston, we need two. We're not in the position here at Blockhead Garage on the manufacturing side of things yet to where we can just order, like say minimum order quantity was 40, right? So 40 pistons, that's 20 engines. And then you have to basically put that investment up front, and then, okay, how many people are getting a 135 crate engine for one, and then how many people are going to supercharge it? Superchargers aren't really common on motorcycles. I mean, I've got one on Lucy here, my personal Road Glide, but the reason we did that is because that was part of the build off with Cruci Originals. He did a turbo, so we wanted to kind of do the opposite and do a supercharger. He did Street Glide, we did Road Glide. We were trying to showcase to the community what was possible. So with all that being said, that's why we decided to go with Moonshine Harley-Davidson. They're already doing this. They've already got it dialed. That also opens up the opportunity to be able to collaborate with them. So it's something that you guys have been requesting for a really long time. We have seen Moonshine Harley-Davidson, Moonshine Horsepower commented in our comments section for years. You guys have brought them up to us for a really, really long time. And so finally, here we are. I made the trip up there, met Jamie, awesome guy, and we're going to be working with them in rebuilding this thing. We built it mild, like what we delivered because of, thinking of that end user. With Moonshine and speaking with Jamie, they're not holding back. It's going to come back, and it's going to be even crazier now. These guys at Moonshine, they've been doing really high performance stuff for a long time. They do turbocharged, have done supercharged, not as often though. They do methanol, they do NOS. Jamie's background is in drag racing. and racing, used to build cars back in the day. He said he built this drag car that would do wheelies back in the day. And so these guys are racers through and through. And they've got a really cool operation going on up there in Tennessee, which you guys saw here in this video. All that being said, here is like the kind of official statement, if you will. All the research that we did after this happened, we went through everything with a fine-tooth comb. We worked really closely with ProCharger and going back and forth and reviewing everything as well. Based on reviewing all of the data and confirming everything was within specification with ProCharger, such as correct tuning, target air-fuel ratio, injectors, timing, cam profile, and more, we believe that this was a potential case of bad, contaminated, or low octane gasoline. Too much compression typically causes head gasket failure. That's where pressure escapes the easiest, so it wasn't a failure of too much compression. With the damage to the piston rings and ringlands, this leads us to believe there was a pre-detonation occurrence causing ignition in the front cylinder as the piston was approaching top dead center. The manner of the damage to the piston notes it being pushed into detonation pressure too early, causing the pressure to blow through the path of least resistance, which was the piston rings and ringlands. So essentially, as the piston is still traveling up, there was detonation. Essentially, the piston's supposed to go up, reach top dead center, where it's gonna go back down, and then in that like between, where it stops right there, that's where the chamber is sealed, the valves are sealed, and then the spark plugs ignite, causing combustion, which pushes the piston down, and that's where you get your power. So what happened is, as it was going up, and it wasn't at top dead center, it was still approaching compression, there was ignition. Not necessarily from spark plugs. That ignition can be caused by contaminated gasoline, low octane gasoline. We actually did an episode with Boston Mike, who was an instructor over at MMI for a while, talking about octane. The higher octane is essentially the ability to control that ignition. So that's why they use really high octane in higher compression and race engines.
The technical definition of octane is fuel's resistance to burn, which sounds counterproductive. You would think you want fuel that's easier to burn, but you don't. Fuel that's easier to burn has a tendency to ignite under compression, especially in a high compression motor. It will pre-ignite or pre-ignition problems, which causes spark knock and other problems in the engine. So you want the fuel to be as difficult as possible to ignite so that it can only burn under extreme conditions, i.e., full compression when we fire the plug, so it fires exactly at the time we want it to.
Lower octane, you're not able to control that ignition as well. So we've spoke with ProCharger extensively, provided them with all the detailed information to make sure everything was within specifications. So everything checks out, with them stating if there was no knock or pre-detonation picked up, then all should have been fine. Additionally, upon ProCharger reviewing the pictures that we provided to them, they stated that they've seen similar damage from confirmed cases of using old or contaminated gasoline. Here in Orlando, around our shop, we have set gas stations that we always use for our gas. Another thing to consider, on the west coast of Florida, whenever this happened, this was actually right after one of the hurricanes had hit and caused flooding over there. And whenever there is flooding, especially on a large scale, I don't know if you guys know how tanks that hold the gasoline at gas stations are set up, but they're in the ground and they've got these big metal like kind of lids, containers on them. Well, if there's flooding and, you know, water that's stagnant setting on top of those, there is potential intrusion. I actually had a friend in high school who blew up the engine to his Trans Am because of contaminated gasoline from flooding. It is one of those things that happens here in Florida because of storms, unfortunately. Everything points to contaminated gas. Unfortunately, this is one of those things that happens whenever you're building high performance race engines. If they do operate out of the specification in which you've built them, they're performing at such a high level. If something is off just a little bit, it can lead to a catastrophic failure. This is further supported by stuff that Jamie from Moonshine said, Jack from Cycle Drag has said, the representatives at ProCharger. Unfortunately, it is one of those things that happens with high performance engines, drag racing, track racing. On that note, despite the circumstances, the positivity surrounding this whole thing has been absolutely overwhelming. I think a lot of people see this as a negative, but as one of my mentors used to say, we don't have problems, we have opportunities. An example, had this not happened, who knows how much longer it would have been before we were working with moonshine. So it gives us the opportunity to work with moonshine. This has also caused me to reach out to a lot of people in the industry. Had it not happened, I wouldn't have reached out to them. So there's more silver lining for you. While it is overwhelmingly positive, I did want to briefly touch on some of the negativity that we've seen surrounding this, which is kind of disappointing in my opinion. On YouTube, you've got to have thick skin, and I get, like, you know, we're not everybody's cup of tea, and you know, people aren't going to like everything that we do, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. It really doesn't slow us down from continuing to move forward and doing what we want. But for some reason, this situation has seemed to bring some hatred and haters out of the woodwork, which I thought was interesting because before any information was publicly available about what happened, there's people out there that decided to be hateful towards us. Like I said, with having done YouTube for over 7 years, I'm used to it. We put ourselves out there, and you know, everybody's going to have an opinion on what we do, and we are very aware that there's people out there that are waiting for us to fail. All I have to say is I have so much more for you to be mad at. Just be patient. On that note, I wanted to kind of loop back around to kind of remind the community and talk to you guys about what it is that we do here at Blockhead, because perspective is important. That perspective being important to me is the whole reason that I have "Remember Why You Started" tattooed on my wrist, place that I see it every single day. Since I started this channel, I have always tried to help the community. Everybody that I work with here, Justin, Chris, Amanda, we are all working towards contributing and helping the community, the motorcycle community. Literally always done since starting the channel, from the how to ride videos, you know, like wanting to teach people how to ride a motorcycle. Do me a favor, in the comments section down below, how many of you guys are here on this channel riding motorcycles or in the community because of our how to ride videos? They have helped just honestly millions of people, which is crazy to think. Millions. I think any event that I've been to, every single time is I learned how to ride a motorcycle because of your videos. That's amazing, because that's something that, like, I absolutely love motorcycles. I have such a passion for this industry that I want to be able to share that, and I want everybody to experience that. I want everybody to feel that positivity that this industry can bring, because it's absolutely changed my life. There's so much positive in my life because of motorcycles that I want everybody to have that. That's one of the main reasons that I do what I do. It's a common thread through all of the Blockhead brand, teaching people how to wrench on their own bikes, from exhaust installs, air cleaners, dyno tuning, comparisons on products. You know, we want to show you guys, pull back the curtain on, are these manufacturers' claims actually legit? You know, are you getting what you pay for? We want to teach you guys about gear. We want to teach you guys about, you know, other products in this industry. We want to give you confidence to be able to wrench on your own bikes. And we want to give you the confidence to get into this industry, into motorcycles, because it can be overwhelming if you're new. It can feel like you don't fit into it, you know, because there is a lot of stigmas out there around this industry, and we want to make it approachable. It's one of those things that I love about Cruzy is he's like, you know, we're not tough guys here. We're fun guys. That sums it up perfectly. It's like, leave your ego. Like, we want this to be open to everyone. As Shade Tree Surgeon says, the more of us, the less of them, referring to the more of us on motorcycles, the less people in cars. If you guys ride, you know what I'm talking about. We've done tons of how-to videos. We've done tons of product stuff. We've done tons of builds. We answer questions on the daily, people calling up here asking for our advice on stuff, giving away 13 motorcycles back to this community, you know, for people that have shown their support for us and helped us to grow and to get to where we are today. We're giving away a sports dress right now, you know, building it out, modifying it. It's like, there's just so many rewarding things to this industry. Legacy is something that's important to me. I want to help this community as much as I can. Like I said, because this is something that I love and that I have passion for. I want to leave it better than what I found it. And I think we've hopefully helped to do that. You know, motorcycles have changed my life. I want to share that positivity with everyone. This build that we did with Bert, that's exactly what the goal is behind it. Like Bert said, this is going to change somebody's life. Just incredibly honored that he wanted us to be a part of this. While yes, there is this minor setback within this high-end performance, unfortunately, it is something that is more common, you know, what you would see of like from normal OEMs. We're filming it. We're not hiding it. We're showing you guys everything. like I've always said, entirely transparent. And we're gonna show you guys the entire rebuild process. I'm gonna be going back up to Moonshine. We're gonna be going with Bert, with Josh, and we're gonna document the entire rebuild of this. It exposes our community to new YouTube channel, for one. You know, Moonshine has their own YouTube channel. They do lots of performance builds. They're a trusted name in the industry, and so we're happy to be collaborating with them on this. I know this was a bit of a longer one, guys, but I hope you kind of stayed around to kind of listen to the message of it. It has been an absolute whirlwind recently because of the holidays. I hope you guys had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, kind of getting settled back into the swing of things. By the time you guys see this video, it should be 2025. Jeez, crazy. Can't believe it's 2025 already. Where the hell does the time go? We've got some absolutely huge stuff coming up for 2025, and I hope you guys are excited. One, for the M8 Abrams to come back bigger and better. It's gonna be, it was a monster before, but it's gonna be even crazier after Moonshine does what they do. So there you go, guys. That's the update. Big thanks to Bert. Big thanks to Moonshine. Big thanks to Shade Tree Surgeon for blowing up our engine. It's so funny that it was him. It's ridiculous. The next video that you guys see on this, I will be going back up to Nashville, Tennessee, to Moonshine Harley. If you guys want to sign up to potentially win this motorcycle, it is up for grabs through Bert's Salute to America Foundation. I'll be sure to drop a link where you can sign up for it. And I think that about wraps it up. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, post them down in the comments below. I'm sure there will be a number of you guys. For those of you that have remained positive through this whole thing, I really appreciate it. This community that is amazing, that you guys do stand behind us and you do show us just this amazing amount of support, and we can't thank you enough for that. If you guys aren't subscribed, you want to see the incoming episodes on the rebuild 2.0, if you will, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon also, so it sends you notifications of whenever we do upload that content. If you guys did enjoy this video, I know it was a long one, do me a favor, hit the like button, lets YouTube know that we're doing a good job, and until next time, you guys ride safe out there, stay vigilant, catch you in the next one.